All right, hello everyone. So I want to do another short lecture. I've done one before, my top five historical movies, but when I was doing that, I realized that so many of them come from the World War II period, and there's so many more movies I wanted to include. Because using movies to study history is a great idea because while none of them are going to be 100% accurate, just watching the movie oftentimes inspires people to go and to learn more about history and to get more detail about things. And it is a good way to, at least if you don't know much about stuff, as long as you go into it with understanding that they're not going to be perfect, to expose yourself to some of the more amazing events that are associated with different time periods. And there's so many great movies done during the World War II era. I'm going to kind of go through my top five, and at the end, I'm going to kind of give you a list of some other ones I kind of recommend as well. But these are definitely five I've watched and I really enjoy, and I think do add a lot to the period of time. So Dunkirk. Dunkirk is excellent. It was made in 2017. It is about something called Operation Dynamo and what we call the Little Ships of Dunkirk. So actually I have an actual video, a short video on Dunkirk, actual historical event on it. It's short, it's like 5 minutes long, but if you want more detail about it, you could definitely check that out as well. I'll make sure to add that to the details, to the link there, so you can find it easily if you can't find it on my channel. I have an entire playlist just on World War II, so that's the other thing. If you want like a lot more historical content on each of these stories and events, you could just watch my entire World War II playlist. Things like 13 lectures I have, and some short, some long. D-Day is my favorite one. But really, the story of Dunkirk is remarkable because it's the story of how they had to save 300,000, over 300,000 British soldiers who were stuck on Dunkirk after basically the Battle of France. And how there's kind of, I like the movie because it had like the three parts to it. It had RAF pilots patrolling, trying to safeguard the second part of the story, which is the people, including civilian ships that were used to cross the English Channel, and then you see the reaction of the soldiers trying to survive until any sort of help comes to rescue them. And without this, event, Little Ships of Dunkirk, it would have been very hard for the British to keep fighting after, the Battle of France. 300,000 men is a lot of men that were rescued. It was just an amazing human achievement during the war. So definitely Dunkirk is a great one to start with. Also, 2017, another amazing movie was called Darkest Hour. It's really more focused on Winston Churchill. Gary Oldman plays Winston Churchill, and I always say the makeup on that movie was stunning. I mean, Churchill looks like Churchill, Chamberlain looks like Chamberlain. But what I really enjoyed about this movie is that it didn't take a long period of time. It kind of just took just matter really maybe a month time period roughly, and it really traced how Churchill rose to become the prime minister of England when there was still many people in England still pushing for the appeasement policy, and how Churchill had to maneuver to come into power, and how he really tried to resonate with the people, and make them understand that you can't just appease Hitler, and how you had to fight him. And there's also these great speeches by Churchill. That's one of the most interesting part I think about the movie is you can hear the speeches and they resonate, and it's really well acted. So definitely Darkest Hour is a great movie if you like Winston Churchill stuff. King's Speech. So this kind of falls nicely after the Darkest Hour one, because, and I was kind of debating which one do I like more, Darkest Hour or King's Speech, because they're both really good. So it's like two or three, or three or two for me. Sorry, three or four, or four or three for me on my list. King's Speech is about King George VI, the King of England during World War II. So we have Churchill kind of rising to become prime minister, and then here we got King George VI, who was the king, and he had a stuttering problem. And the whole story of the movie is that he's trying to deliver a speech to comfort people, to make people feel good during the war, believe that they're going to survive, but he didn't know how to speak well. So he had to get a speech coach to help him. And it's just the personal back and forth and his struggles with it, and how he has to just build it up to deliver this speech. And it does also a nice job, I think, just again capturing the time period. There's little parts of the family. I think they captured his wife very well, the Queen's mom. So this, of course, the dad of Queen Elizabeth II. So to give you some reference for that. So I definitely like that movie. Really well acted as well. Fun movie, interesting movie, a little bit funny. Again, almost all these movies I think are rated R, so there's a lot of some cursing and this and that. But of course, that's going to be the nature of World War II movies. Very often they're pretty graphic or depict a lot of things because it was a very graphic time period. So definitely like the King's Speech. That was a good choice as well. Number two is Saving Private Ryan. This is probably going to make almost everyone's top five. This is an amazing story. Of 1998 is when this one came out about the D-Day landing. The story itself is the narrative is fictional. There wasn't actually a guy that we went to try to find and save because all of his brothers died and all that, which is the basic premise of the story. But I think just the depiction of the landing on D-Day, and of all the lectures I have on World War II, the D-Day one is definitely my favorite. It's a little bit longer. I think it's like 20, 25 minutes long, but a lot of it comes from my experiences going to D-Day and visiting the beach and, being there firsthand. And, when you see the beaches in person and then the history, it's pretty dramatic. And so Saving Private Ryan, the first 30 minutes does an amazing job showing what the landing was like and how intense it was. And I always tell students that even when you watch the first 30 minutes of that movie, as intense as it is, it was probably even more intense in reality. So Saving Private Ryan and the rest of after the D-Day, just them going through Normandy and all the different parts there during the war, I think they do a really good job just showing what the fighting was like and everything there. And again, that was a really well done movie. So definitely Saving Private Ryan. It's one of my top five of all historical movies, not just World War II. And then my very number one World War II movie, and I think again a lot of people would have this as their number one, is Schindler's List. Amazing cast: Liam Neeson, Ray Fiennes, Ben Kingsley. The real life story of Oscar Schindler, who, for I guess I'm gonna maybe spoiler alert for some people who don't know this, but when I actually show this to my students, until the very end of the movie, a lot of people don't even know this is based on a real story. So unlike some of these other, like Saving Private Ryan may have not been a real story, this is, right? The King's Speech, real story. Darkest Hour, real story, right? Dunkirk, real story, right? So these are real things. In the case of Schindler's List, Oscar Schindler was a man who gave everything that he had so much and gave it all up to try to save as many Jewish people as he can during the Holocaust. It's moving. It's an emotional roller coaster. I sometimes forget how old this movie is. It came out now in 1993. So especially if you're my college students are 18, 19 years old, they weren't even born when this movie came out. And so actually I use this movie every semester in my modern Western Civ class. I assign it and we watch it either in my online classes or in my in-person class. So definitely my number one movie. If you've never seen this, it's not only my number one World War II movie, it's my number one historical movie as well. So there's a lot on World War II. Let me go through just a few others. I'm going to put them a big list so you can kind of look at some other ones. These are all various movies you can just find. Imitation Game, Patton, which is a lot older. Imitation Game is about the story of how they had to break the Nazi codes during World War II. So that's pretty amazing. A place called Bletchley Park. Some other movies associated with the Holocaust, like Life is Beautiful. Unbroken, that's a good movie. The book is a lot better, I gotta say. It's one of my favorite books. The movie was good, but the book was a lot better, and it was about a man, a real individual who was captured by the Japanese and put in the Japanese cap, an American soldier. And then you can see some of these others, Valkyries, about an attempt to assassinate Hitler and how that failed. Tuskegee Airmen, really good for U.S. history. Flags of Our Fathers, another one that was a good book that they made into a movie. So there's tons of stuff, right? Some older, like The Bridge Over the River Kwai is a lot older. So there's a lot. There's many others that maybe I haven't even seen personally. So please go ahead and watch. If you have other videos or movies you recommend, put them in the comments. I'd love to hear other people's suggestions for World War II movies. And again, it's just a great way to study history. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you kind of find some of those that you maybe haven't seen. I'll encourage you to go watch them, or some of these are from the list. Thank you as always for watching. Please share, subscribe, like, all those things. The more people see these videos, the better. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Bye.